Hello, the name is Daman Devsood, your host for my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 AM IST was the whole time. On experiment basis, the time for last few weeks has been changed to 9 AM IST. It seems I have technical challenge this morning to stream it live on LinkedIn. But no worries, the recording will be available on my YouTube channel. Another experiment that I started a few weeks ago was that instead of using slides in these episodes, I will read out one of the chapters from one of my books. Today, it is from the second book I wrote, which was My Experiments with BCM. Chapter 35 from that book talks about or is titled as Water in the Safe Assembly Area. This one is from Dubai. I was at a client's office for a consulting assignment. It turned out to be their evacuation drill day, and I did not know about it. The alarm went off at the planned time. We all started moving out using the staircase and went out to the safe assembly area. The client guided me. Then headcount started in the assembly area. So far, so good. Then I saw the office boys came and started distributing water to all. They had trays in their hands. It seemed normal to all, but I was surprised. Please take a break here and write on your paper your impressions of the case. Right, wrong, good, bad, ugly. When we went upstairs back to our desks, I discussed the case with the client. I have discussed this case in all my trainings since then. And mostly, the people say it was good, okay, or acceptable. My impressions were that it was a good gesture, but not a good practice or process or plan. I saw two major flaws. Are the office boys' lives not important? Should they also not be in a queue? And should someone not be taking their headcount also? Please check in your organization whether you have a written process that they all support staff that includes security guards, office boys, ladies, janitors, people in the cafeteria in most of the organizations. Whether they have also been trained on evacuation, will evacuate, and they will be their headcount also. The organization was setting wrong expectations. This is the biggest learning. Setting correct expectations, which you do during your good times before the crisis. The people would expect water to be given to them even during real evacuations when they might have to stand even for a few hours. I do not mean to ignore the fact that it may be too hot, too cold, too wet out in the assembly area. This is a risk, and the mitigation, according to me, is not giving them water, umbrella, or clothing. Rather, coaching them to be ready for tough situations and making them aware that there may be some situations when they may have to stand in the assembly area for a long duration. I was auditing a company recently. This book was published 3 years ago. So this recently is about 3 years old. They told me that their four marshals would take care of the contractors also while evacuating the building. They also said that the floor marshals would take head count of the contractors also while in the assembly area. So I recorded this as a good practice in my notes. While seeking evidence for this activity, the following improvements were recommended. It was a practice in the organization. They should write a process also, a documented information as defined in ISO 22301, which roughly means written, reviewed, approved, published, used. That is a documented information. Second improvement that I wrote for them was floor marshals' roles, responsibilities, and authorities did not define this. So there would be a possibility of skipping contractors' care. The headcount report of the last evacuation drill did not show that any of the contractors were their headcounts were taken. So the activity happens, but there is no evidence. I invite readers for the book, listeners in this episode, to write back with their views on this situation. Long ago, I was in the UK. That year turned out to be one of the coldest ones. On that morning, it was perhaps minus 18 degrees outside. I reached the office fully wrapped, but had to take off all overcoats, etc., and hang them away from my desk. The office was centrally heated, so I was working in just shirt and comfortably. And then the alarm went off. We evacuated as is, without picking up the overcoats, etc., out in minus 18 degrees. Linked to this concept is a case from Abu Dhabi. I was at a client's office for a consulting assignment, and that turned out to be their evacuation drill day. It was quite hot. Not 50 degrees though, which is the case in Abu Dhabi at times, around 40 degrees. We used the stairs to evacuate the building. I was guided by the client, and while we were about to exit the ground floor into the assembly area, my contact asked me to take a left turn that connected to the mall. Do not go outside the mall. It's too hot. So we will not go to assembly area. Rather, let us go to the mall, which is air conditioned. I was surprised once again. Related to the support staff, here is the latest case from the COVID-19 pandemic management period. And once again, the book was written about 3 years ago. COVID-19 pandemic happened about 4 years ago. So it's a little old case, but in the book written as latest case. Many corporates in India are doing their bit in supporting the government, contributing money, providing oxygen tankers, concentrators, ventilators, other medical equipment, etc. Some are also arranging in-house vaccination of their employees. Some are extending that to their families too. I have some views on this that I'll share later. This is a good gesture, no doubts. The question is, have they extended or should they extend this facility to the contract staff also? Once again, which is security guards, office boys, girls, women, janitors, people in the cafeteria? I'm still waiting to get an answer to this question. At least one good case is known. Tata Sky was to send a service person to my place to fix our dish reception quality. He was not a Tata Sky employee, but a contractor with them. He confirmed that when Tata Sky was getting their employees vaccinated, the contract staff were also including that drive. I was impressed. As this book is progressing, I'm learning that many other organizations in India have extended this facility to their staff, staff's families, and even contractors. But I do not know any case where contractors' families have also been included in this drive. I will link this to the needs and expectations of the interested parties in a later chapter. I hope there have been some learnings, you have made some notes to go back and check in your organization what is the current situation and to make improvements if and when wherever required. With this, I would like to close today's episode, which was one of the chapters, chapter 35 in my second book called My Experiments with PCM. The chapter was called Water in the Safe Assembly Area. Not that water was filled in the safe assembly area or safe assembly area was waterlogged, but water was being served to the employees waiting for headcount in the assembly area. If you have any questions about this episode or about resilience as a whole, please feel free to write to me and I will be happy to respond. Logging off, this is your host, Daman Dev Sood. My weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 AM IST, old time, new time, on experimental basis for last few weeks is 9 AM IST. I look forward to seeing you all every Wednesdays. Today's episode is not available live on LinkedIn. I will share the recording later. Thanks. Bye-bye.